Good morning. I'm going to review with you how to read a bar graph. So this is your notes for the week, and your notes will look exactly like your activity that will be due at the end of the week on Monday. Okay, so how to read a bar graph. After we go over these notes, please make sure you watch the videos and try the interactive problems. Okay, so an ice cream store kept track of the different flavored ice cream cones they sold in a day. They recorded the results in the bar graph below. Use their graph to answer the questions. Now, hopefully you already read over the poster that explained how to read a bar graph, but if you didn't, I can briefly explain these pieces again. Right here where I'm circling in blue, that is the title, number of cones sold. Okay, that's how many ice cream cones were sold. And this is the y-axis. You should remember that from the graphing unit. Okay, we have 0, and it counts all the way up to 10. So that will help us count how many cones were sold. Now down here at the bottom in green, we have another title, and this is where we have our flavors of ice cream. Okay, so we have cotton candy, mint, cherry, and orange. And these 4 columns that you see here, those are called bars. And this completes a bar graph when you have a bunch of bars next to each other, showing different data or different numbers. So let's go through some practice questions together. Number 1 says, how many cotton candy cones were sold? Well, let's go to the bar graph and find cotton candy. It's the pink one right here. See where it says cotton candy? So go to the top of the bar and figure out what number did the bar reach. Well, the bar reached right here to number 6. So the answer would be 6 cones. Okay, 6 cotton candy cones. Now, number 2 says, were there more cotton candy or more mint cones sold? Let's take a look at the bar graph. Which bar is higher, the cotton candy or the mint? If you can't figure out which one's higher, you can figure out the number that the bar reaches. We already know cotton candy, that there were 6 cotton candy cones sold. Let's take a look and see about the mint. Start at the bottom and see how high it goes. This is where the line stops. Now let's go over to the y-axis. We're at 4. So there were 4 mint cones sold, and we know there were 6 cotton candy ones sold. So let's look at the question again. Were there more cotton candy or more mint cones sold? What do you think? More cotton candy. Good. Let's look at question 3. Were there fewer orange or fewer cherry cones sold? Okay, we're looking for the one that had less. Fewer means less. So we're comparing orange and cherry now. Let's see. Orange and cherry. We're looking for the one that sold less. Just by looking at these columns, we can see that the orange one is smaller. The orange one sold fewer or less. The orange flavor, 3 of them were sold. Okay, so the answer for that one would be orange. Number 4 asks, which flavor sold exactly 10 cones? Well, go to your bar graph and look and see which bar reaches up to the number 10. We already know cotton candy and mint, those are not 10. What about cherry? Go start at the 0 and go all the way up. Move your eyes over, and yes, that line matches up with the 10. So I'm going to write on this bar that this is 10. So cherry is the answer. Question 5. What is the difference in the number of cotton candy cones and the number of mint cones sold? So here we're dealing with cotton candy. I'll bold the two we're looking at, and mint. And we're finding the difference. Do you remember what you need to do, which operation you need to use when you're finding the difference? We need to subtract. So we need to subtract the number of cotton candy cones and mint cones. Let's look up here at the graph. I need cotton candy and mint. So I need cotton candy and mint. Okay, I need to subtract. So 6 minus 4. Let's set this up on our problem. 6 minus 4. It's a little hard to see. What does 6 take away 4? You can use a calculator. You can use a number line. Okay, when you have 6, you take away 4, you get 2. So the answer is 2. That's the difference. What is the combined number of cherry cones and orange cones? Combined, that means combination or added together. So here we're going to be adding. Combined means adding. And over here, difference meant subtracting. So we're doing the combined number of cherry and orange. Let's go figure out what cherry and orange cones were sold. How many cherry? 10. How many orange? Ooh, we don't have it labeled. Start at the bottom, see how far it goes up. 3. So we need cherry, 10, and orange, 3, and we need to combine them. What's 10 plus 3? 10 plus 3 is 13. So the combined number is 13 cones. Now, which flavor sold the most? The most. Do you remember what the word most means? It means which one sold a lot or the highest amount. Well, we have to figure out which column is the highest. Which bar graph shows the most? The one that goes highest up. And that would be cherry with 10. Now, which flavor sold the least? That's the opposite of the most. So we need to figure out which bar graph has the smallest amount. You can see here from the number, or you can use the heights of the bar graphs and you can tell that the orange one is the least, with only 3 cones sold. So you would type in orange. Hopefully you're following along. We have 3 more questions. How many more cherry cones were sold than mint cones? Ooh, a word problem. How many more? How many more cherry cones were sold than mint cones? We're finding the difference here. When we find the difference, we need to subtract. We need cherry and mint. So we have 10 cherry, 4 mint. Right here, this section, we are finding the difference. We're seeing how many more cherry than mint were sold. So in order to figure out this difference right here, this height, we need to subtract 10 minus 4. So 10 minus 4 equals 6. So there's a difference of 6. You also could have used your bar graph and the y-axis to help you count by ones. Because if you're here at 4 and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you could have counted up to the top of the next column. So you could also count the difference as well. Let's look at number 10. How many fewer orange cones were sold than mint cones? So we're looking at the orange cones and the mint cones. How many fewer orange cones than mint cones were sold? How many fewer? Well, 3 orange and 4 mint. So what's the difference between 3 and 4? How many fewer cones were sold? Well, the difference here is just this space right here. Because this is where the 3 ends, and this is where the mint column would have been at the 4. So what's 4 minus 3? 4 minus, doing subtraction again, 4 minus 3 is 1. So 1 fewer cones. Last question. I like this question. How many total cones were sold? Total. Total means all together, all of them. The total. So let's go up and see all together. We have 6, 4, 10, and 3. What do we need to do with those numbers? 6, 4, 10, and 3. 6, 4, 10, and 3. We need total cones. Are we adding or subtracting? Got it, adding. 6 and 4, that makes 10. And 10 plus 10 is 20. And 20, so that makes 20. So now we have 20 plus 3, and that gives us 23. So 23 cones total. At this point, you should feel comfortable breaking down a bar graph, looking at the parts, knowing what the titles are, knowing what the numbers mean, and how to read each bar. You also should feel comfortable knowing the difference between finding how many more, how many fewer, finding the most, and finding the least. This is your notes. Please watch the videos, try the interactive problems, and please message me if you need help with the reading a bar graph activity, which is right here. And it has to do with gummy bears. This is your assignment for the week, okay? Please let me know if you need help. The questions are extremely similar to the ones we just went over. Hope you have a great week. Miss you all. Bye.